What does it mean to live life to the fullest, train to your potential, and perform at your best?
Leave nothing on the table. That's a non-negotiable, is that I strive to be better every day. Because if I'm not on top of my game, how's anybody else going to follow me down the road?
Keep demanding more of yourself to live up to that potential and to stay hungry.
Training is progress. You know, when I look at the word training, I think of steps, baby steps to get somewhere that you want to be. And that is basically your life journey.
It's a mindset in itself, man. It's like, it's not just about, I know that for you, a lot of that's about the physical, but we're constantly in training, whether it's growing our skill sets, whether it's growing our physical bodies, whether it's growing our relationships, whatever. And all of that's a training ground. And that kind of goes back to the mindset that we just talked about.
You underestimate yourself and you don't even start. But then once you start, you often surpass what you thought you could do.
Perform at your best, mate. That's sort of what life is all about. You know, I want to have the knowledge, I want to have the fitness, the health, the ambition and drive that no matter what comes along, when that next phone call comes, I can just say yes. I don't have to worry. Just go and do it.
Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Live, Train, Perform podcast. I'm your host, Sean Kober. This is part 2 of a 90-minute conversation that I had with Will Foden. The first episode was all about value systems, which went for roughly 70 minutes. In this episode, we go through how to structure your training week and give examples of training days. This is particularly relevant for people that are going back into lockdown, are in quarantine periods or periods of isolation with minimal equipment, etc. But is also relevant in looking at your structure for the training week, even if you do have access to the gym, outdoor environments, etc., etc. Also note that this conversation will be live on my YouTube channel at Performance Functional Training, which I have linked in the show notes. Let's get this episode underway. What I want to go on to next, mate, is obviously you guys are having or not allowed to train. People aren't allowed to train at the gym. None of the gyms in Thailand are open at the moment. So let's discuss some strategies around how people can continue focusing on health, training, nutrition, all of these principles whilst they're at home and don't have access to the gym. What's something that you're doing with, one, yourself, but also two, your clients?
I reckon the 2 points that I've got key. Sunlight is number one. Mm-hmm. Because people, you'd be funny, even in this part of the world, people have got vitamin D deficiency. They're sat in front of Zoom all day and they're not taking time for themselves. So me personally, I discussed this on my youth, on the youth Instagram about having Pomodoro time and working for 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. I do that for 4 cycles and I try and get outside. That's something that's non-negotiable for me. I get out in the morning, I get out at lunch, and I'll probably, after this call, I'll go out for 20 minutes with my missus just to chew the fat and get some steps up. For my clients, obviously, I haven't got many professional athletes, but I've got guys who are aspiring to the young fighters, or I've also got some general population clients. The big part of this, like we said about the long-term development plan, is not just putting the hammer down for the hammer down's sake. I use intensities of days for certain things, because I think that is something for a weekly periodization, for a monthly periodization, for a yearly periodization, whatever, is understanding that the body's an adaptive organism and exercise is a stimulus. I'm not in the game of making exercise fun. I'd much rather go surfing than me telling someone to go and do steady state cardio because of their blood glucose, for example. But they kind of need to, yeah. But I undulate it. So I use Mondays is usually a medium day. Tuesdays a heavier day. Wednesday's a really light day. So still move, but don't do anything strenuous. And I repeat that process for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Purely from an adaptive standpoint, I'm giving the body enough time to adapt to what I'm asking it for, but I'm also not fucking it so hard that it's going to have diminishing returns, i.e. injury, i.e. a lot of the time it's motivation as well. If you just keep pumping someone, man, most people, apart from your guys who they will literally die by the sword, and if you told them to run through a brick wall on an assault bike, they'll do it without a problem. Most people can't handle that level of intensity for a long period of time.
Yep. Let's go through those days again. You said moderate, then heavy, then light. Give me an example. Yeah. Give the listeners an example of what you mean by moderate, heavy, light. Let's say, are we talking like an hour training session here?
I try, if it's a home workout, I try and have the actual workout of 45 minutes if I can, because but then as we are all different, we've all got different mobility routines. We've also got different things like discrepancies. My legs work totally differently than one or the other because of my injury. So I usually give a 15-minute block for mobility. That's throughout the whole. That's for every training day.
Yep.
Is having that principle, that RAPS principle in place. And then stimulus wise, I'll put it in the context of a lot of the guys that I have. They've got small gyms at home, but even if you haven't got a gym, is the intensity of your workouts. You can either measure that through heart rate, or you can measure that through weight lifted. So if you're heart rate, meaning if you're a medium day, will be sort of your steady, your medium state zone 2 stuff. So whether that's your mixed modal kettlebell cycling, whether that's just your interval running but long distance. And then your heavier days would be your sprint type workouts or your heavier intensity lifting. So whether that's you've got
Yep, so more like neurological. So the Monday, for example, could be a moderate intensity. This might be like a bodybuilding style session, full body, where you're not
functional
completely hammering
bodybuilding,
yourself.
Yeah. Or gymnastics as well is a good one for either day. So I use gymnastics dependent on a Monday or a Wednesday.
Dependent on the person as well.
Of course.
Depending on the person.
So levels
because
of gymnastics, Yeah,
because you could give me like gymnastics for a light day. Whereas that might be a heavy day for someone else.
Handstand ring push-ups, mate. You can fuck off.
Yeah, but just to give some examples for the listeners. So Monday might be more of like a moderate session. So more of like do your mobility work, then go into maybe 2 exercises for the legs. It might be, a moderate weight, time under tension. Might be, let's say, front squats. And then we might superset that with a lying leg curl or something like that for the hamstrings.
Yeah, what I've got running at the moment. So I've had a COVID group for 18 months here, and the boys, all they've got is a TRX, kettlebells, and bodyweight. And most of them, they're not athletes. These are just dads who just they want to get out of the house. So a good structure to a session that I've done is a mobility. So it's always core orientated. It's always hip mobility and shoulder mobility. However you cut cake with that, whether you're using bands or whether you're using actual like myofascial release or whatever. And then your first superset, I do a functional bodybuilding superset. So I'll do an upper and a lower, whether you've got a kettlebell front rack lunge or you've got a step up or you've got a goblet squat, if it's something simple, into a press or a pull, upper body. Always time and attention, purely because most of them don't want to be having like a set of 2 kilo incremental kettlebells and they can't keep progressing. So we use time. Yep. And then, so it would go from the A series down to your B series, could be some accessory work, but make that a little bit conditioning based. So a 10-minute as many rounds as possible of single arm overhead lunge into a push up into a TRX row. And then either something at the end, either a little bit of conditioning or core. That's my sort of basic medium stimulus type workout. And then on a Tuesday, we'll be going for more the sort of the development stuff. I've currently got guys doing more power-based sprinting work because we're allowed outside. So they're doing more either a kettlebell swing into a sprint, or if they're athletes, I'm just doing sprinting or hill sprints. But if they want a bit more variation, I use a kettlebell swing, a kettlebell snatch, a kettlebell clean into a sprint or stair work or stuff that's going to take like a 1 to 3 work rest. Yeah. So it's something that's you're going to rest a lot, but work really hard. Yeah. That's where your Tuesday or your Friday will be. And then your Wednesday could be just a gymnastics day, or could be a really light bike ride or run or swim, or even, mate, if you want to get into yoga, I prefer doing gymnastics because it makes me feel like I'm doing something more. But even though my sister's a yoga teacher, but that's probably because I work better with someone doing it with me. So I used to actually Zoom my sister, when she was in lockdown, and she used to take me through a yoga route just because it's something alien to me, but something that's going to get blood flow, that's going to keep you moving, and keep you stimulated in some respects. Is also keep you just sat on your bum doesn't do any justice.
Yeah, and that's providing recovery. That's providing recovery. That's aiding recovery. Yeah. Which is going to set you up for the next day. Yeah, I love that, man. Do you know who Martin Rooney is?
Yeah.
So Martin Rooney started training for Warriors, and I did his level 1, level 2 course many years ago. And I loved his structure, and I loved the way that he put things, and I loved his templates. And something that he said when he was talking about the hurricane sessions, which were the conditioning sessions, was the analogy that he used was something along the lines of this. if people think about a hurricane running through your city and fucking, you know, a level 5, a category 5 hurricane is going to cause a fuckload of damage. That means it needs more time, more people, more money, more resources to rebuild. Okay. And then that city is going to be built back bigger, stronger, better. Okay. But that's going to take a long time to recover from. Now, level 1 hurricane is going to cause some damage, but it's much easier, much faster to clean up. Doesn't need as much money, time, resources, energy, effort, right? And then obviously you've got that spectrum everywhere in between. And what you just explained there might be like level 3 hurricane on a Monday, which is your moderate session. You're not hammering yourself. You're still getting some work done, right? Not taking away from the session the next day. Then the next day might be your category 5 where you're working fucking hard, man. Category 4 or 5, working fucking hard. Then the next day, you know, your body's trying to recover and adapt from that heavy session. Now you're pulling it back. Now it's a category 1, category 2. You're doing something that's going to aid in your recovery, going to get the blood flowing. It's going to push those nutrients to those cells that need to be replenished, repaired, etc. You're going to get your lymphatic system working, which literally only, you know, cleans up extra cellular fluid from pumping the muscles, right? It doesn't have a pump like the heart does to pump blood. So that's going to aid that recovery. Then, again, you go back into your level 3, then your level 4, level 5, then your level 1, 2. I love that, man. That's a great approach.
Yeah, thank you. I've just finished the Joel Jameson 8 weeks out course, and they use that massively for conditioning, but it's used in strength and conditioning, and it's training with a purpose. I think that's something that me and you get frustrated with, is you see so much shit out there that's just training for the sake of training. And people should have better things to do than doing their 4th workout of the day on a Tuesday. They need to do it for a fucking reason and get something out of it. Don't just stand there and sweat and exercise like a dickhead, because that's not going to get you any closer to what you're asking for. Most people are asking for an outcome. And when you give them outcome principle-based coaching, a lot of them don't like it because it seems so simple unless they have the intent to do it. When you give it the intent and you give it today is the day where I'm dropping the hammer. Today is the day where I'm recovering for tomorrow. Your training then becomes not just an exercise plan, it becomes a training aid for you to achieve something. And that achievement, man, is hugely important. And whether that's body comp, whether that's strength, whether that's injury prevention, they're all encompassing the same thing. If you're going for a principle-based approach, not just random and happy at the moment until you're broke.
We've spoken about this before, mate. That's the difference between training and exercising. Exercise is, what can I do right now to get my heart rate up, break a sweat, feel like I fucking worked, right? Training is looking at the overall picture and going, what can I do now that's going to, you know, push me towards my goal, but also allow me to, you know, undulate my training throughout the week. And everything is adding up. Everything's complementing each other, you know? So, you know, that idea of doing a hard session, then a light session. I love that, man. That's something that I've been doing a lot myself over the last couple of years. And, you know, very similar template to what you spoke about earlier. Now, from my perspective, something that I was doing last year when we went into lockdown was breaking my 1 hour training session up into 20-minute blocks. And, you know, normally when I'm in the gym, I typically neglect mobility work. So I'll do enough mobility to get my body prepared for the session that's just about to come up. But, you know, out of all of the different aspects of strength and conditioning, that's probably the thing that I neglect the most, because I love lifting heavy. I love sprinting. I love jumping. I love throwing. I love fucking Olympic lifting. I love playing around on the rings. I love all that shit. And like, that's the hard training sessions, right? And, you know, that mentality that I've had for many, many years, 20 years of my life, I've been training. And, you know, that mentality of fucking go hard or go home, like, you know, it served me at times, but it also burnt me out at times. So something that I did when we went into lockdown last year was split my training session up, 20-minute blocks. Okay. My primary focus, again, intent, my primary focus is I don't have access to heavy weights. I don't have access to gym equipment, etc., etc. I just finished my yoga course and returned from Australia. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to practice my mobility. Yep, that was my primary focus. So then I do 20 minutes of mobility-based work, some, you know, yoga, sun salutations, some foam rolling, soft tissue work, banded distractions, blah, blah, blah. Then I'd knock out a couple of hours of work, record a podcast or whatever, edit it up, upload, go through that process. And then, around about 11 o'clock, 11:30, I'm like, all right, now it's a Monday. My focus is on strength. So I'll do, strength and stability Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I'll do some conditioning Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So then my next 20-minute block, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, cool. I'm focused on strength. I've only got a kettlebell. I've only got a TRX. I've only got body weight. I've only got bands. I'm going to focus on time under tension. I'm going to focus on full range of movement. I'm going to focus on generating as much tension as I can, blah, 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 blah. Full body workout, and then later on that day on a Monday, you know what? Now conditioning might be my third goal. Mobility is my first goal. Strength is my second goal for Monday. Conditioning is going to be my third goal for Monday. So then I go for a little jog, right? Little jog. I've got a little complex here. Just run around the complex, man. 20 minutes, light jog, low intensity, steady state. Right? Now, the great thing about this is if I just did my mobility that day and I didn't do my strength work because I got into a flow state, recording a podcast, editing, blah, 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 and I didn't do my strength, didn't do my conditioning, I've done my number one priority, which is my mobility. Yeah. Then the next day, you know what? Cool. I didn't do those things. I'm still going to do my mobility, first 20-minute block, my second 20-minute block. Now I'm going to hammer my conditioning, right? I'm going to do some sprint-based work. Sweet. Now, later on, I know that I've done a very heavy neurological training session. Maybe in the afternoon, it's going to be more mind-muscle connection where I'm focusing on, building the pecs, building the delts, pumping the arms with a set of bands or whatever. Then the next day again, mobility, number 1. Strength, number 2. Low-intensity, steady-state aerobic conditioning, number 3. And that way, when I didn't have the time to do it, or I chose not to do it because I was in a flow state or studying, I was doing other things, then like neglecting the second and third training session, I was okay with that, knowing that I'd done the number one priority.
It's important, man. I mean, something that that would be my biggest advice in my training, similarly to you. I'm a speed and power guy, man. I like lifting heavy shit and I like running fast. Or I like just getting into it. But yeah. the realism of bodies getting older, we're sat at a desk a bit more often, and that I'm not a rugby player anymore. I think like if you put yourself in the military, man, it's similarly like you talk about training 3 times a day. That's standard because you're a kid, man. You can eat a jam sandwich and eat nothing, and you're still going to be fit as fuck. Where now our bodies take way more to get in the game. They take way more preservation, looking after, and having a non-negotiable. So like me, I do the world's greatest stretch every day. It's like a hip mobility flow from Kelly Starrett. I do that because I got really tight hips because of the way my hips move. That's my win. But the vision for me is to be able to get more in the sessions as much as possible in between sets of doing heavy stuff, because looking after you're in this for the long haul, man. And if you just think you can keep pushing the gas pedal, you're not going to get anywhere. And it's something that I get. As I said, I have to Zoom my sister to get it done with me because I've never. Now you've learned it, you can put that into your practice, and I'll probably steal it off you because it's something that is prevalent, especially for the guys who are listening to this, who are stuck at home on Zoom. Doing that 20-minute block first thing in the morning is going to clear your head. It's going to get your body mobilized and get you ready for the day, rather than you sat there scrolling on your fucking phone, doing shit that you don't need to do at 7 a.m. Do something that's going to be advantageous for you, rather than picking up an email at 6:30. Because unless you look after yourself, you're looking after nobody. And then suddenly you're in the game. And that is going to definitely work a lot for the listeners as well as for us too as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just to piggyback off the end of that, that was literally like I maintained my structure, man. People like, how are you dealing with lockdown? And I was like, I'm dealing with lockdown fine. I was like, my day is the same. Like the only difference is I don't have to leave home to, go to the gym, work and train my clients, because I'm so structured that I literally just, I sat down and I wrote down my values, man. And I'd have it in one of my notepads here. But the number one value was health and immune system. And that was the number one heading. And then that was like, meditation, physical exercise, sunlight, reading, blah, 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 all these things. And the next thing was personal growth. And that was study, podcasts, research, blah, 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 blah. And then the last thing was, financial or social, I think. Financial, social, somewhere there. And it was like, off that was like call 3 people a week. don't spend more than you need, da da da. And I was like, had these 3 main headings, and like that literally, again, tying back into the value systems, understanding what your values are, having those main headings, and then having subheadings off them. Dude, once you understand that, you can fucking look at that chart and go, all right, these are my number 1 priorities. Where can I slot them into my schedule? Right, these are my number 2 priorities. Where can I slot them into my schedule? These are my number 3 priorities. Where can I slot them into my schedule? And the cool thing about doing that is, in my opinion, you can then start allocating time and energy at different times of the day to those different things. So as an example, I know that I've got most of my energy first thing in the morning. So if, health and immune system is the number 1 priority, guess what I'm doing when I get up first thing in the morning? I'm fucking moving. I'm eating good food. I'm hydrating. I'm getting some sunshine. I'm doing some meditation. I'm having a coffee. I'm having a stretch, right? Then the second priority was personal growth, right? Podcast, record a podcast, edit a podcast, research for a podcast, read, Thai study, anatomy and physiology course, blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. Now I'm slotting that in throughout the day. That's my next most important priority. So now I can pop that in. All right. Then my last thing is financial, social, whatever. I'm going to call some friends, blah, blah, blah. So that stuff's going in towards the end of the day. Now, the point that I'm making here is once you understand that, you might have had a poor night's sleep. Maybe you're a little bit stressed out. Maybe you watch TV, watch news, and you fucking, COVID's getting close, or you've had bad news from back home, whatever it might be. All right. Now, when I wake up in the morning, I'm still going to make sure that I prioritize my health and immune system. But instead of hammering myself with a heavy conditioning session or a fucking, hard sprint session or, heavy training session, I'm going to do the mobility based work. I'm still going to get some sunshine. I know that stuff's going to make me feel better. It's going to start me off on the front foot. It's going to allow me to tick off that first win of the day. And achievement breeds achievement, bro. Right. And then, maybe I'm still a little bit tired. I'm still a little bit fatigued. Maybe the personal growth stuff, maybe editing a podcast is not going to be good because I'm not going to be efficient with it. My cognitive function's a little bit off, blah, blah, blah. All right. Now I'm going to push that out. I'm going to put something else in. I'm going to match my energy levels. I'm going to match my task to my energy levels. So instead of, recording a podcast and, researching for a podcast or doing my anatomy and physiology course or studying Thai, right now I might just jump on my emails. Answer some emails there. Maybe I'm end up calling a couple of friends, some family and shit back home, right? Because it doesn't take me that much energy. And my whole day might be like that, where I'm like, what? I don't feel great today, but what can I tick off this list that is still going to make me feel better, where I'm still going to feel productive towards the end of the day? You know what? I've ticked off this. Now I'm going to sit back. I'm going to fucking play PlayStation, chill out. Maybe I'm going to have a nap, watch a movie, whatever. Knowing that, and again, going back to that undulating system, I just had a light day. I know tomorrow I'm going to make sure I'm going to get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to be on the front foot. Now I'm going to make sure I get some good training. Now I'm going to make sure I'm, doing my heavy cognitive based work first thing in the morning, etc., etc. So I think that's really important to understand what your values are, man, because then you can start structuring it in. Then you can start allocating time to, energy levels to different tasks that need to be done.
Absolutely, Matt. It's putting your bullshit visor on. Is there anything that's not in your value system is telling it to fuck off? And I think that's putting it lame. That's literally it. It's like the key to everything you just said is taking 10 minutes to write it down.
Yeah.
And 10 minutes to know what's coming out of your head and what's important to you, and putting that into your calendar. Something that I learned, I learned this through a mentor of mine, is literally spending 15 minutes with a piece of paper writing down your day. And you can see trends in your day, and you can match energy levels. You can match times in which you get work done. You can match times in which you don't want to get work done. And then putting that in your calendar and having it as your non-negotiable. Like one for me, I wake up first thing in the morning, I read. I'm fluent dyslexic. I'm proper dyslexic. But I do it every day.
Is that a term? Fluent dyslexic?
It's definitely Foden et al. 2021, boss. But meaning it takes me so fucking long to read. But I do it every morning because I know I've got no one annoying me. I don't go on my phone until 7, and I know that I've got time to do it. But then the other values in my life that I have, they have a specific color-coded place in my diary that does not get touched. Because I know that if I get this done, at the end of the day, I'm going to feel fulfilled. I'm going to have all my ducks in order and I'm going to be progressing forward. If you are going into chaos, not knowing either your day or knowing what you value in the respect of your days, that's when you struggle. And I think that's something that you have down to a T. And whether that's because of the military, and I think it's not, I think it's also because of the way that the hardships that you've had. It's massively important that just, if there's anything out of this, an hour and however long we've talked for, is get a fucking pen and literally write down one note about your day for each day that you have as a not you have to do. And then fill your days around it, because I'm telling you, man, like you said, the minute you get a win, you get 2, you get 3, you get 4, and suddenly you go to bed playing, like you said, watching a movie and you don't care. When you've missed the day and you've missed out what's important to you, that's what pisses you off and everything goes downward. It's a downward spiral of bullshit because you've lost the day. It's important.
Mate, that is a fucking great place to start winding up the episode. And something you said there is you've won the day. And if you can stack more winning days together than you stack losing days together, you've now won the week. And if you can do that over the course of the month, you've now won the month. You can do that over the course of the years. Now you've fucking won the years, man. And that's it. It's about doing the right thing. It's about, yeah, exactly, bro. It's about stacking those wins, man. Yeah, that's amazing, bro. Yeah, man. Anything you want to finish with, brother?
Nah, just thanks for listening to us two talk shop for the last however long. It's always a pleasure, man. I love seeing you. It's good crack.
Yeah, it is a good crack, mate. I was going to split this up over a couple of episodes, but I reckon I'll drop it as one, man. Otherwise, it won't really make too much sense. But yeah, we always tend to do that.
Hopefully, they haven't got drunk listening to it, man, because it's a long one to get into it. And I'd love to hear any stories from it, man. As I said, this stuff is the in the weeds grey piece of coaching, but it's so cool to hear that people action stuff. So I hope everybody gets something from it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have all of Will's links in the show notes. So if you guys want to tag us on the socials, make sure you hit us up, and any 5-star ratings and reviews are much appreciated. Will, thank you very much for for coming on the show, brother. And there we have it. Great advice and template for how people should structure their week and their training days. This episode will be released on Thursday, the 20th of May. On Monday, the 24th of May, that will actually be 1 year of podcasting for me. That will be the anniversary, so I'll have a special anniversary edition. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Much appreciated. Much love. Peace.